guys. So tonight instead of talking about industrial real estate development, it's often the forgotten stepchild in terms of the asset classes that we've not focused on too much in our curriculum neighborhood program necessarily. But I've worked in the industrial brokerage side for the last couple of years, so it's something I know a little bit about, still learning. So basically, industrial is commonly broken into three different classes: warehouse distribution facilities, which is primarily large warehouse storage and distribution of goods. So in Salt Lake, it's all the stuff out by the airport and California Avenue, big box warehouse distribution centers. Manufacturing facilities, which are usually built to accommodate a certain manufacturing equipment for the specific tenant, and then also flex space, which is commonly warehouses converted to office space, R&D, that type of stuff. Got a short little video, just this guy, Jones Lane LaSalle, talking about industrial.
Spencer, how did you do that last week? How did you embed your...
Probably didn't.
I got YouTube.
YouTube.
Same reason. Just have some of the different video
What's that? Let's see. Well, it's essentially...
Do you have it on YouTube?
I can Google it probably. Bear with me 1 second.
You got till 7:30. Yeah, take your time.
Well, I think industrial real estate is viewed a little differently than the other asset classes because it's not something that people immediately understand. We're part of such a big macro picture of the economy that people don't know how to relate to it immediately. They know about apartments, they live in one, or they walk by one, they shop in stores, they stay in hotels. But the kind of shadow supply chain that goes on behind the scenes, people don't know about. When they look at investing in it, they have to learn about it and realize that it has to do with retail, it has to do with multifamily, and it has to do with hospitality. It's the support system for all of those other pieces of real estate. Well, for us, for our company, we always look at the sub-markets. While the macro system of the markets are terrific, you may find that the market of Miami is terrific, but you may go to a sub-market, and if you buy in the wrong sub-market, it doesn't matter how good the market is. I think in general, we concentrate too much on the larger market, and we don't go down and drill down into the little ones. We also like to look at property level specifics, because while a market may be great, you can't buy a market, you have to buy a building. And we look at the particular characteristics of the buildings even stronger than most people do. Well, right now everybody wants to be in the 5 primary markets, particularly the coastal markets. Everybody wants new and clean and high and completely functional. They also obviously want the highest credit tenant because ultimately we are in the bond business. We create corporate obligations, we aggregate them, and essentially we sell them. So we're no different than corporate debt. We just like the fact that if that company goes out of business, we still have an asset.
So, anyway, I thought we just had some kind of broad level perspective, real estate investment in industrial real estate.
So when you said the 5 main markets,
coastal markets, I think it's Long Beach, Oakland, and 3 on the East Coast that I'm not as familiar with. I think on one of my later charts, I'll have more detail outlined. separated kind of those top 5 things: regional warehouses, bulk warehouses, heavy distribution, refrigerator distribution, and rack support distribution. And they typically have 5 to 20% office space, someplace in that realm. The rest is warehouse distribution space. They also typically have 1 to 2 employees per 1,000 square feet of space, and 1 dock per 10,000 square feet of building, or one, if it's heavy distribution, 1 per 5,000 square feet. Also, they really like to have broad column spacing inside the buildings, and the trend now is 36 feet clear height or more. They used to have, just industrial buildings would be 18 to 20 feet, something like that. That was, pretty good standard. But now, with the advent of better loading and
Rack systems.
The forklifts, that's what I'm trying to say. The forklifts, you can actually go and rack, substantially higher. They can go as high as, 40, 50 feet sometimes.
Is that to do with that, trying to go to 36 feet, is that to do with just the cost involved, and it's not that much more expensive to build or, to make the ceiling
Exactly, as
higher,
well.
so might as well
Yeah.
do it, you're paying for everything else.
That definitely plays in part of it. Some companies, they don't want to figure out how to rack higher, so they don't mess with it. But the larger industrial companies that are invest that type of investment are definitely going higher, much higher than 30 feet. And the landlords usually are fine to do that too as well. Let's see. So manufacturing facilities, there's not as much demand for new manufacturing facilities in the U.S., obviously, since much of that's been turning towards Asia and other markets for quite some time. So in terms of new space, there's just not a ton. So you will see a lot of companies these days, converting warehouse distribution space to some sort of fabrication manufacturing space. But yeah, you don't see as much of the true manufacturing space being developed in the U.S. Typically, they have a 2 to 4 per 1,000 square feet ratio, and the site coverage of the 50% or so. Flex space, just kind of general parameters of what they are. You guys probably familiar with some flex space around town. Not as high a building usually. Often kind of a campus setting with higher curb appeal. These companies are more aware of the image on the outside for call centers or whatever they might be using it for. And obviously with the higher employee count, more parking needed, and much more office space.
I kind of think of flex space as having maybe a rolling door in the back.
Yeah, exactly. But really not, no need necessarily for any type of docks or anything like that. So the trend for industrial construction quite some time has been leaning toward concrete tilt-up because it's fast, it's economical, and it's really easy. And Kyle's shaking his head here. I'm sure Leighton does much of that as well. So why industrial? Why did people like Trammell Crow do so much industrial? What's the investment for industrial?
Because in office, a company, if they want to downsize, they can fire people, and that's really easy. But it's really hard to fire a big machine and make it smaller.
True, very true. Well, there's a couple of more reasons. One reason is the lease structure. With the triple net lease structure, you pass a lot of, the tenant will cover all the costs, aside from the rent. And so, if there's rises in taxes or insurance or, maintenance costs, the tenant will cover those costs as they rise. As Taylor said, tenant improvements for leasing costs, when a tenant moves out, there's not as much improvements, to change from one tenant from typically with the warehouse distribution space, it's carpet and paint often for the office space. You know, sometimes you'll improve it to a little bit higher level, but often it's really not too much. The operating costs, they typically don't have, you know, maintenance of elevators, complicated HVAC units. It's pretty simple in terms of, you know, HVAC and parking structures, lobbies, the power, that type of thing. It also, it weathered the recession really well. During the last few years, it only accounted for 7% of the overall distressed market. Often you'll have significant tenant investment in the space. My company was working with a tenant just recently that was looking at they're looking at 300,000 square foot building, and they're looking at rather than having the landlord put in the tenant improvements, they're looking at putting in $3 to $4 million of their own TIs into the space. And so you often have, you know, tenants because they have specific equipment that needs to be a certain way, they'll you know, put investment in the space, and it helps out in terms of, you know, they're going to be in the space for a longer period of time, and they're willing to sign longer term leases usually.
Okay, so for industrial, for a 300,000 square foot industrial building, they're gonna put, call it $3 million, so that's $100 a foot. And it's so what's the, is it what are they gonna put in that's gonna cost them $100 a foot in a manufacturing or an industrial building?
Well, this particular company, they want some image office in a particular way, so they kind of want their office specifically, you know, in a specific way. And they also do a bunch of autoclave type stuff, so they will use part of their building for some fabrication and manufacturing space, and so there's, you know, significant investment in all, you know, the preparation for having. They want to make sure that the power is all set up in the right place, and the extra fire suppression systems, that type of thing.
My experience has been crane systems.
Yeah.
Well, they typically tie the useful life of that machinery to the lease. So like when their lease runs out, the machines and rigs run out, and they'll move somewhere else and do it again.
Often, it depends on the machine. Like with these big, with these big autoclaves that this particular company has, they're actually going to move them back and forth. It's kind of the support system to go in for having the autoclave, like the extra, well, some of the other improvements that need to be there for their particular fabrication or manufacturing.
So they may, I think that my answer to your question is no. They may actually lease their some of those machines. I mean, a company like that might come to Zion's Bank and say, hey, we want to do a lease with you guys on a great big piece of equipment, and it may be a 5-year term.
Sure.
They might amortize it over 5 years or 10 years or something like that. So I don't think the actual term of the lease or actually the depreciation on that piece of equipment is going to match the long term of the lease.
It just depends on the company and their cost of capital, you know, what they're going to do in terms of
Leases on, what's the lease on industrial? Are they going to do 5 years or 10 years? Or?
Well, for a build-to-suit building, you know, probably 10 to 15, you know, closer to 15. You can see some 12-year, some 12-year leases out there. And then Brody.
Yeah, I just need it. Like, what's the consumption of an investment in a building? Why they would want to own it instead of leasing it? What's the advantage?
You know, I'm not completely familiar with all the tax aspects of owning your improvements. It has to do with depreciation as well, the depreciation benefits that you get from, you know, the cost segregation studies and that type of thing. I can't answer that question.
It's definitely cheaper to lease than it is to own. I mean, just on your own balance sheet. I mean, there's companies out there, like, you may wanna look up W.P. Carey,
Yep.
which is a publicly traded REIT. And that's what they do, is they'll go to companies like Merit Medical, for example, and they'll say, hey, you guys own your building. Why do you want to own your building? You've got 40 million bucks or 80 million bucks on your balance sheet. How about if we buy that from you and then you just lease it from us? Immediately, Merit Medical's got 40 or 80 million dollars in cash, and then they've got whatever, at least it's $1.5 million a year, or $2 million a year, and they can take that cash and deploy it somewhere else and make money on that, as opposed to having it all tied up in their assets. So that's maybe one reason why somebody may want to lease instead of own.
It always come down to the cost of capital.
It really does, yeah. I mean, if they're, some of the companies we work with that are part of, these parent companies that have super low cost of capital, they kind of want to own everything. So, but other companies that really want to free up their balance sheet, they don't care about as much. Yeah. So here's just kind of, since 1982, under occupancy and rent growth, as you can see, since 2010, occupancy's been coming back up, and rent growth has also come up as well, although it's dipped down. And well, they project with all the building that's taken place in the last couple of years, it's going to dip down some more.
What happened in
What's that?
What happened in '98 that made it spike like that, or whatever? '99. That's,
I think it was.
that's pretty like dramatic.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure. I think for some reason there wasn't as much product being built right then.
So that was right at the.
That's like .com boom, right?
.com boom, that's what, yeah, it's
But,
Amazon.
but what's warehouses have to do with .com?
Well,
Well, Amazon.
Amazon.
Pets.com.
Yeah.
They had all that warehouse space.
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
But that's interesting because it looks to me like, if you go back to that chart, I mean, if you go clear back to 1990 and all the way to 2010, rents were lower in 2010 than they were in 19, or is that just occupancy? Okay.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, the
rents
rent
still, the
growth.
rent growth was really, actually, it looks to me like the rents were lower in 2010 than they were in 1990.
Well, so
Yeah.
it's the rent growth percentage. So yeah, I mean,
Oh,
it could be depending on the percent decline.
Oh, because it dropped from a lower. It's a percentage of where it was relative to the point before it.
Exactly.
Okay.
So yeah, I
Kinda hard to-
chart of the actual rates, but yeah, I'm interested with that. So well, I was gonna have you guys guess how many square feet of industrial space there was in. Yeah, so there's approximately 120 million in Salt Lake, the MSA, not including Ogden and Utah County. Utah County has about 30 million square feet, all the MLMs and other communities down there. Ogden, let's see, Business Depot, Ogden, I can't remember exactly, I think they have about 15, 20 million over there. So, but the largest landlord in Utah is Freeport West, and they have about, I think it's about 8.5 million square feet now. And they just are working on, and Spencer, some of folks probably know about West Valley. They're working on another, 130 acres or something like that out in West Valley.
Well, the total project is about 600 acres.
Yeah.
But the actual development portion will be something.
130 acres of additional. So Freeport, the founder of Freeport was Ken Schumacher. He made his money in actually railroad ties, in reusing old railroad ties that are no longer in use, and so he's done very well for himself. And they
do have
holdings
trellis
throughout the
wood.
western United States.
That's
Other
The
developers.
interesting thing about him is he doesn't use any bank debt, so he'll build a 300,000 square foot spec industrial facility, and he won't use any bank day, he's always on money. So,
So he can, I mean, if they want a lease still, they can chase tenants and really, squeeze their rates down. Get it a really good lease area for tenants. They're by far the low lease leader. And they bought land, the land where they're finishing up right now in California Avenue area, like 400 West, 5600 West. They just have such a lower basis in that land than most of the other developers around that they just will offer really low rates, substantially lower than a lot of the rest. So a lot of the same players that are involved in other development around town are also involved in industrial. You got Boyer, Ivory, Hamilton Partners, Roderick, Price. That's just to name a few. Boyer actually, not Boyer, Ivory. They haven't done too much. They're actually just doing 700,000 square feet right now out in Bluffdale, just south of the prison. So I don't think much more than that they've done, but they're trying to enter that market. So why Salt Lake? It's still the crossroads of the West. And I'll take you through some slides on why that's the case in just a second. But here's just some of the 2012 market statistics. These are from CBRE. NAI or eMark has their own stats as well in commerce. This kind of shows, you can see where the bulk of the space is. It's out in the California Avenue area, 40 million square feet. And what they were saying, the vacancy rate at the end of 2012 was right just below 6%, which is, extremely healthy market. And also 1.5 million square feet under construction, which is even more than that now.
well, the interesting thing about that slide is, look how low the vacancy is, and there's nothing under construction, hardly. I mean, that's, I don't know what that is, less than 1%.
Well, there was 5 million plus square feet of lease activity done last year, which is incredible for our market. There's obviously some pent-up demand coming from the recession, but typically a good year from our market was between 2 and 3 million square feet. So 5 million, over 5 million square feet was an awesome year. So the industrial demand obviously is created, primarily from moving freight. The freight's coming typically from China or Mexico or elsewhere in the world. It comes in the ports and then it's distributed across country. And they, just to give you some of the terminology, they measure the shipping container volume in 20-foot equivalent units, so the TEUs. So you might see that in a couple of my slides coming up here. So here's just a graph of the eastbound Pacific trade since 2007, just showing what they forecast increase by 2% in 2013. So it's been increasing since 2009. Here, you can see the truck movements throughout the country, and again, you can see that Salt Lake is still the crossroads with I-80 and I-15 coming through. I-80 obviously heading out, east and west towards I believe the Oakland port, and then I-15 down to the Southern California ports, Long Beach and those. Again, another map kind of showing the truck volume. Again, you see the reds, predominantly throughout the east and the west of California. But then again, the only place in the Intermountain West primarily is just right through Salt Lake. So the reds then distributed out. So warehouse square feet per person, and some subsequent slides have kind of flushed this out a little bit more, but it's been steadily increasing, as you can see, since 1982, whereas close to 37, and closer to 50 square feet per person in the last few years.
For the population part?
Per capita, yeah, exactly. The population.
Is that PPR, is that what that property portfolio research, is that PPR?
Yeah. So again, this shows the occupied warehouse stock per capita. So Salt Lake's right there at 69. You can see some of the major markets around the country. You can see 74, 77s actually. You can see, notice that one. Memphis, Tennessee, 123. Memphis has the big FedEx hub and a lot of Amazon, a lot of other companies have a lot of huge facilities there, so that they have a large per capita. So there's 23 metro areas in the United States that have more than 54 square feet per person, and obviously Salt Lake is one of those at 69. So those that are on or above 54 square feet per person are known to be as on the pathway of goods movement. So they're national they're kind of the national warehouse markets. So there's only like it says 23 metro areas in the United States. So Salt Lake, I will show you, is right there. I think that's number 14 or so, just behind Nashville and just below Miami. But again, you can see Memphis up there at 123, and then California and some of the other. So there's definitely the industrial demand here at Salt Lake for warehousing distribution space. Here you can see the TEUs by port, so you can kind of see some of the ports where the freight comes in. Long Beach, Los Angeles, and Oakland, those two, all through Salt Lake. And also get some traffic down, obviously, from Seattle to Tacoma as well.
So actually, if you add Long Beach and Los Angeles together, I can't tell, that's 7 or 8, whatever thousand.
Yeah, that'd be seven.
But I don't know, Taylor, I know where the Port of Long Beach is, but where is Port of Los Angeles? Is it around the edge or in the same area? Or?
It's the same port.
So Long Beach and Port of Los Angeles are the same? Or kind of
Yeah.
right? Okay.
But all the industrial, it's goes throughout the South, man. There's so much different freeway access that goes into Long Beach that it just branches out like a tree, and it's all over the place.
Yeah.
But that looks like if I can't quite see some of the other ones on the west and east coast, but it looks to me like Los Angeles there, Long Beach and Los Angeles together are bigger than any of the other ports.
Yeah. So that again, primarily because freight's coming from China, so everything's primarily coming from those ports in California.
Yeah, there might be like a Los Angeles side of that port and the Long Beach side, but it's the same.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Yeah, I fortunately don't have information about those ports specifically.
So, but now supposedly labor just got cheaper in Mexico now than China.
I got a slide coming up. Let's talk about that. So going forward, what's going to happen? So slow steaming is having an effect. I got a slide talk about that. The Panama Canal is currently expanding. So slow steaming is they're essentially slowing down the steamships across the Pacific from China to conserve fuel because of fuel costs. And so
Storing steamships?
yeah, I guess there's two engines. I don't know. That's what they say. I don't. It's just
I think
the term slow steam.
They're just turning down the diesels.
They're just turning down the diesels, whatever they are. I don't know. Slow steam. That's just the term. So as you can see, here's the days in transit from Shanghai to the markets, and you can kind of see, 15, 16 days on the West Coast, and then when you get around the East Coast, 20 and 29. Slow steaming, using less fuel. I'm not exactly sure on the ships, but it's adding a couple days there, and 6 to 7 days on the East Coast. That's it's affecting the amount of travel. So you can see, even by taking the boat to these ports and then taking rail across, you can still often beat the ship coming around. But the combined cost, the combined cost is pretty close. Combining the ship and the rail getting to the East Coast.
I heard just recently, from what, there was a NAIOP, maybe some of you guys were there, industrial, conference or whatever, seminar at Layton's office. And I believe it was Steve Price that said now that they're allowed to, string a train together up to 3 miles long.
Wow.
So, that's also facilitating kind of the movement of goods. I don't know if I've seen a train 3 miles long, but at some point they get into 3 miles and then
So all, the rail and the shipping, the containers combined, obviously things to consider. The Panama Canal, as I mentioned, is expanding. So they're building some new locks next to the old canal, and these locks are going to accommodate 160-foot ships rather than the current 106-foot ships, wide ships. And so, as you can see, the TEUs that they can accommodate on these ships is substantially more. So that may change things as they kind of reprice the shipping from China going through the Panama Canal to the East Coast versus going through California and the ship across. And as Abby mentioned, Mexico versus China. So Mexico, well, as you can see, the wages in China have increased significantly since 1999, and they haven't increased very much in Mexico. So a lot of companies are now looking more at nearshoring, building their facilities in Mexico, and then bringing them up by truck, rail, or boat to the U.S. and finding some savings in that way. So those are just some things to consider going forward.
I was just curious, funny thought. So right now we see that China's, their wages going up. What happens when China starts demanding those products from Mexico instead of us?
Yeah, no, I don't know. I haven't thought
What do you mean?
about that.
The prices go up?
Yeah, like instead of China producing what else people are producing at such a low wage, so now they have that high wage, they start demanding all these things. It's going to drive that price of Mexico up. So instead of us pulling over to get it from Mexico, we get it from China. It's going to be China going to get it from Mexico, or
I don't know. I don't have the answer.
China's days are numbered.
Yeah.
China doomsday.
So anyway, just some interesting things to think about. So, these things, Salt Lake won't be as impacted on these things because it's still such an important crossroads for moving the freight, in the Intermountain West and to the West Coast. So, industrial demand for Salt Lake should be, fairly stable in the long term. I'm not sliding there. But it really makes, industrial an asset class, maybe some of you guys haven't looked at as much, but maybe looked at to get in sometime down the road. So, any more questions you guys have?
The only problem I have with industrial in Salt Lake is that there's not very much opportunity for extreme rent growth, because if rents go up, then we're just going to develop more industrial. There's lots of land out west.
Yeah, they figure that there's, and Spencer probably can talk, Well, so yeah, they figure there's oh, 10, 15 years in the, in the valley, industrial, being built out. Tulla County, maybe heard, there's been a lot of movement out there, buying up ground. Vinaigrette just bought up like 300 acres out there. They're gonna do some industrial out there, but yeah, really, I mean, they can move out further west, but there's not a ton, close to the airport, and the folks that need to be close to the airport, there's not going to be a ton more, past 10, 15 years of land to be built on, the airport area, California, that type of thing. So well, in the short term, I think you're right. You can always just go build out further west, keep building further west. I think that, primarily you'll see rent growth in the Salt Lake Valley area, and then you'll have kind of a cheaper market out west, just a little bit further west. But I think you will see great growth.
So do you think, this is purely a opinion, so because Salt Lake City has a foreign trade zone and
Yeah.
not the international center, do you think that's one reason why it's kind of remained a big hub on the west? I mean, Denver's been trying to get one for years, and Salt Lake's had one for a long time. Is that a big reason why we're able to maintain all this industrial and
Yeah, that obviously helps. Yeah, and I was going to talk about, and I didn't have time to put a bunch of slides together on the foreign trade zone. I think that, and the intermodal hub, I think they're huge contributing factors. I think we do, just because of the way the interstates are situated, I think we still will get more than Denver. I think we'll still be different factors, just because the trucking needs things from there. But yeah.
Any other questions? All right, thanks.